Oops. Sorry. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to get this thing set up for me. Okay, glory to the King. Welcome back. This is our Learning the Word segment. We are in Revelation. Take your Bible. Let's see, where are we? I think we are at Revelation chapter 16, verse 15. Is that correct, guys? In the chat room? Let me see. Hi, everybody in the chat room. Thank you for posting those scriptures, Shirley, and I loved your question. Hi, Brian. Are you doing okay? Brian said, you're inside today, Lisa. Did that pesky bee scare you off? Yeah, it did. I'm allergic to bees. So I'll tackle one for the sake of my babies, but you know, I like to leave bees alone. Oh, I'm glad you like the pearls, Karen. Hi, Janine. I love you. Are you doing okay? I'm still here in sunny California. Probably leave on Sunday morning really early to head back home. So I'll be back on Monday at some point. Okay. Let's get back into our study. We're in Revelation 16. We're going to start at verse 15. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. Do you know what your garment is? Your garment is your faith in Christ, believing him. Abraham believed God, and it was accounted unto him as righteousness. Righteousness. It says, behold, I come as a thief. Now, I want to say something about this. This takes me to kind of an update for you on what I'm thinking we may have to endure prior to the Lord's return at the sixth seal, possibly in September 2018 is where the evidence is pointing, and we need to go over that again here pretty soon so you can check it out yourself. He's saying he comes as a thief. What this is telling me, see, he comes at the sixth seal, but he's coming, it says to these believers, he's coming as a thief, those that are not watching for him. Well, you think it's the trib, for heaven's sakes. All these things are happening. You're going to have the treaty. You got the economic collapse. You've got the temple being rebuilt. The two witnesses showing up just before the temple is defiled. And how you thinking, how in the world? War in heaven, great sights in heaven, and then the king shows up and he comes as a thief. How can you not know it's the trib by that time? Well, I think it's entirely possible that in the Western nations the effects are going to be much less severe of the first half of the tribulation than they will be throughout the Middle East. Bless those believers that are over there standing for Christ all the way to their deaths. May the Lord strengthen them. But it says, behold, I come as a thief. Well, what that means is that I think we're not going to see as many really huge, devastating things between now and when our evacuation comes, somewhere around September 2018. Now, if he catches believers off guard, then obviously they're not watching, are they? They're not watching. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments. That means obey the word. Keep your garments white and spotless, okay? Lest he walk naked and they see his shame. So if you don't believe in God, you're naked. Did you know that? You're naked. I told you guys this before. I asked God one time in the shower. I was telling him, I'm sorry that I always seem to talk to you in the shower. It's really good time that I can just focus on him, while I'm in the shower. And I was apologizing to him that I'm always naked every time I'm addressing him. And she just shot right back into my mind, "You're not naked." And I was like, "I'm not? I thought I was." But if you're believing God, you're not naked, okay? If you are believing God, you are keeping your garments and you're not naked. So believe God, and you don't have to worry about being naked in the shower or when you're changing your clothes or when you're vulnerable, when you're in the bathroom and you're doing your thing in there, you don't want that broadcast all over the place. If you are believing God, you're not naked. So that's good news, isn't it? In verse 16, and he gathered them together into a place in the Hebrew tongue, Armageddon. Now that's the valley of Megiddo. That is second half. And the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air. See, we're talking about vial judgments. These are only cast upon those who have the mark. Only those who have taken the mark are still here at this point to be experiencing the vial judgments during that 30 days after the end of the trumpet judgments. Seventh angel poured out his vial into the air as manufacturing corporations that make war and weapons. That's why it's called fornication. It's spiritual fornication. It's because you're supposed to be bringing peace as a church. But this church, this vile entity, the false church, commits fornication with the kings of the earth. Spiritual fornication. Rather than bringing peace, they bring war and death and misery and sorrow. And the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Have you ever seen Mardi Gras? Can you look at Mardi Gras and say, "Oh, these are believers"? Not. No, these are not believers. They are rioting. They are partying and taking their clothes off, and they're in all kinds of debauchery and lewdness. And it's not really any different, those displays, than it was at the foot of Mount Sinai while Moses was up at the top getting the Ten Commandments. The people of Israel had corrupted themselves. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet beast, a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Now this beast it's talking about has 7 heads and 10 horns. Okay, now Rome sits upon 7 mountains. But these 10 horns are 10 kings. And this would probably be the EU superstate, the 10 kings. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color. Have you ever looked at the Catholic Church, the Catholic bishops and cardinals? You'll see purple and scarlet. Purple and scarlet. And decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. The Catholic Church has got the throne of Satan set up inside of it. And if you'll notice, it is gold and precious stones and pearls. Every pope has his picture made with this golden cup in his hand. This is the Catholic Church, and I think it actually includes all of the false church, including Protestant and other denominations, and all the denominations, all of organized religion. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Yeah, that is Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots. So see, the Catholic Church has started all kinds of it's got all kinds of little daughters that are harlots all over the world, doesn't it? They traverse over land and sea to make one convert and make them twice the son of hell as themselves, according to the word. In verse 6 of chapter 17, and I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. This is in the second half when Satan is personally here and this wicked entity, the church and the Antichrist, they're going to start killing believers again, just like they used to in the Middle Ages. I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints. That is where the saints are martyred, because they will not bow down to the Pope and call him God. And with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. He's thinking, wow, that's amazing. And the angel said unto me, wherefore didst thou marvel? He's saying, why does that make you wonder? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her, which hath the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. Now, this is the fulfillment on this is probably twofold. Oh, I don't want to. Sorry, my phone's kind of getting here. Sorry. There we go. I had to plug in. All right. Now, there's a lot in this scripture that we need to go over. The beast that thou sawest was and is not. Now remember, the Catholic Church ruled the world up until 1798, and then it got a deadly head wound. It ruled for 1,260 years. See, prophecy is valid on many levels, okay? The beast that thou sawest was and is not, so it gets a deadly head wound, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth, he tells us the origin of this beast. It's out of the bottomless pit. This church is wicked, okay? And go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder. Who's going to wonder? Those whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. Now, your name is either written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, or it's not. Okay? Now, these that are here and wondering, they are the ones, see, this is the time when the vial judgments are being poured out, and only those who are lost, those who are damned, those who have taken the mark of the beast, they are the only ones that are here. Now it says, and here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. That's Rome. And there are 7 kings. 5 are fallen. Now remember, John has been brought forward in time to see what the angel's showing him, right? He said, come hither and I'll show you. Now he says, there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen and 1 is. So he's brought John forward to the point of Pope John Paul II. Okay? He says 5 are fallen. So he's looking at the 6th one. That would be Pope John Paul. He says 1 is, that's Pope John Paul, and the other is not yet come. That would be Benedict. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. Benedict was only Pope for 7 years. Very short period of time for a Pope to be a Pope. Popes are supposed to be a Pope for life, and it's unheard of for a Pope to resign. But Benedict did. He said God told him to resign. How about that? And the beast that was and is not, the one that got the deadly head wound, okay? Even he is the 8th. So this looks like our 8th Pope is our Antichrist, which would be Pope Francis. And it looks like he is going to be possibly someone may attempt to assassinate him, or he may, it says the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth. So I don't know if he gets a deadly head wound, if he is killed and then resurrected. We'll just have to see. But he is of the seven and goeth into perdition. There's no doubt where that Pope is going when he dies. He's going to hell, into perdition. He's not going to heaven. He's a liar, and he's a thief of what belongs to God. In verse 12, and the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings. Now this may be the new superstate, EU superstate they're talking about, which the USA may end up being one of those 10 kings in the EU superstate. If so, then we're going to remain strong for quite some time until we get past the midpoint. And that's kind of good news, isn't it? That we don't have to see our nation fall to pieces right before our eyes any worse than we have to. The 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet. The EU superstate is not a reality yet, but these kings will have rule over their own region, but it'll be a big superstate. They're already talking about merging NATO with the EU. That's interesting too, isn't it? They have received no kingdom as yet, but they receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. So that means that they, as the Antichrist increases in his power, he's going to give this EU superstate his power for 1 hour. And these kings are going to share in his power for a period of time. These have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. So they are supporting him with their money, their military, with their government structure, all of this. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. You don't mess with Jesus. Are you kidding me? For he is Lord of lords. Aren't you glad? And King of kings. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. Now see, here is at the end. Those who come back with Jesus were evacuated or resurrected. That was the resurrection from the dead, the first resurrection at the 6th seal when Jesus shows up, September 2018, somewhere around there. The 6th seal's opened probably July 27th at that center blood moon of the triad that straddles 2018, just after the temple is defiled. That's my guess. I mean, it's a theory, but it does fit with the evidence thus far. We'll see how that goes. Now he says, these shall make war with the Lamb. They're going to try to fight Jesus. And the Lamb shall overcome them. There is no fight in Jesus Christ, okay? For he is Lord of lords and King of kings. He's superior. There is no beating him. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. These are the ones who he's evacuated just previously. And then this part, when he comes back, is at the end of the vial judgments, at the very end of the 21 judgments. Now you've got 1260 days, second half, for the trumpet judgments. Then the next 30 days after that is vial judgments. And then 45 days later, the New Jerusalem descends. That's what it looks like to me anyway. And it says here in verse 15, and he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. So the Catholic Church has sent missionaries out all over the world, but that's the whore. They go and they make converts twice as much a son of hell as themselves. Where the whore sitteth are people, multitudes, nations, and tongues. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. These are going to hate the church. These 10 kings are going to turn on the church at some point. and make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. This is where Rome is destroyed. And now we have the answer to our question as to when this event fits into our timeline. It's second half. Okay, it's second half. And it's actually close to the end of the trib when Rome is destroyed. For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree, and to give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. That is Rome, the Vatican. The Vatican. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Let's see. Shirley says, could that have to do with idol worship? Could what have to do with idol worship? I guess, when did you ask that? About 10 minutes ago? Could that have to do with idol worship? You're talking about when the temple is defiled? Or are you talking about what we're talking about here? Could that have to do with idol worship? Not sure what you're referring to there, but I'll get with you and answer that question for you, sister. Now we're wrapping up here. It says here in verse 17, for God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will. See, he's the one that decides. He's the one that decides what happens, and he's going to put it in your heart to fulfill his will. You think it's your heart's desires? Well, it's actually his. And to agree and to give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. So everything's going to turn out exactly like God designed. Woman, okay, we'll stop right there. We're straight up. God bless you. I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in today. And remember, do right and risk the consequences. And should the Lord tarry, we'll see you soon. Tomorrow, actually. Here, there, or in here.